I first met Jim, as I used to call him, about 5 years ago when I started working here 5 years ago. He was probably one of my first clients when I started kind of venturing out by myself as a support worker. He just used to make me laugh, to be honest. So I used to walk into the house where he resided and just shout Jimbo down the corridor, and he'd kind of stick his head out the door. Just go, what? All right.
I first came into contact with James the second day that I started at Cornwall. I went down to Greenaways because we were going to do a big refurbishment, and I got introduced to James, who told me in uncertain terms I didn't know my job, didn't know what I was doing, needed to sort myself out, etc. And we had a bit of a good laugh. We had a bit of a chat, a bit of things. I said, well, then you could be my, what I call unofficial clerk of works, and you can run the job for me, which he said I could do that better than you can anyhow. So the job started, it progressed, and actually James did become the unofficial clerk of works, telling people what they should do, what they shouldn't do, telling me what I should do. The fact that I'm in charge had nothing to do with it. He didn't give a monkeys about that at all in any shape or form.
James would make use of anything he could that he'd get a plant in. If it was still, he'd get a plant in there. If he could get a seed in there, he'd fit it in there. If he could make a barbecue out of it, he would. If he could recycle it in some way for his garden and that, he would. And he was just such a wonderful creative character.
One of the first jobs I done at Cornwall was his bedroom. We updated his bedroom. He loved his stuff, his little flower pots. We just walk in his bedroom, he had like 4 or 5 cans of that homemade brew, and looks nice. He said it, he done it before, if I want a little bit that, but of course with alcohol, we are not allowed to drink at work. He said, oh, do you want some? I said, no, I can't, I'm working. Oh, but I will put a bottle ready for you and you will take it home.
I guess James was just always so pleasant to me, like even when he was in a bad mood, he'd say he was feeling like shit with a smile on his face. Like, I just always felt it was a very genuine character, really. And I know there was all kinds of things going on for him, and towards the end his health wasn't too good, but even though I'd been off for about, I don't know, 10, 11 months of maternity leave, and I hadn't seen him for that whole time, and when I came back he was quite poorly, he still remembered who I was and was able to kind of, you know, give me some eye contact and say hello. And I just thought that was really kind, and just the sort of person that he was. However bad he was feeling, he'd always, you know, kind of be respectful towards me.
Many times I'd go down there and find things that I shouldn't find, and yes, by that I mean plants everywhere. No matter where I looked, I'd open the showers, we put brand new showers in, and James had plotted plants all in these new showers that we'd spent thousands on, and it was like the Eden project in there.
He had a love of hedgehogs, to the point where he may or may not, it's debated, you have had a pet hedgehog in the house, but we're not sure about that. It may or may not have lived in his bathroom. And he may not have been called Geraldine.
He fight his corner all the time, but never had problems with him, never. Even the garden outside, he look after the gardens for us. We always need to ask him, James, can we do this? James, can we do that? If he says yes, yeah. And we do it. If not, we don't do it. Definitely we don't do it, because James fight his corner.
He was a bit of a role model to the younger people that were there. So yeah, I think we were all blessed by knowing James in some shape or form.
My funniest memory of him is slightly inappropriate. We did an awards ceremony, and James was receiving the Volunteer of the Year award for all of his gardening and that down at Greenaways, and it was dead quiet, and we were announcing the nominees, and there was lots of very important people there from the council and other organisations, and there was a moment of silence, and I heard this shh, and it was James opening a can of beer. And Malcolm and myself, who was also doing the ceremony, just kind of looked at each other and we knew exactly who it was. And it's just stuck in my memory, this moment forwards, that James was who he was, and he wasn't afraid to be himself at all. And I just always respected him so much for that.